Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Velas here at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, my Vegas debut, and of course I'm joined by Mr. Eddie Hearn. How are you, mate?
First time in Vegas. Wow. Congratulations. I kind of feel a little bit of pressure on this interview because Andy Purell from Boxing Social is sitting there waiting, and he's been goading on social that our last two interviews have been worldwide top 5 trending, and I feel as though Coogan needs you to pull it out of the bag here, Oscar. So I'll try and give you some entertainment. I'll try and give you some corkers. If I upset anyone in the process, I'm sorry.
I'll say I am under serious threat
Exactly.
if this interview don't do well.
Yeah.
Just quickly on Vegas, like the volume of shows you promoted worldwide, and obviously since being with DAZN, the number of shows you've done in the States. I don't associate Eddie Hearn with Las Vegas.
Really?
Honestly, I don't. I know you promoted out here, but like you're more of a New York and Fresno, California man, yeah. San Diego.
New York and Fresno, California, they're quite different. Can I just say how lucky we are? I mean, we all are to be here. You know, in a world that's quite limited at the moment with regards to travelling. But I am living the absolute dream job, right? And I can't thank DAZN enough because this is our dream, this is our vision, and this is our global vision. And when I think to myself, last week I was sitting in Madison Square Garden promoting a sold-out event that ended up being one of the fights of the year. And this week, I'm at MGM Grand promoting another brilliant World Championship fight. And next week, I'm in Liverpool with Conor Benn and Katie Taylor in a massive card. And the week after, I'm in Manchester for Chisora Park. Like, I couldn't be more blessed in terms of the opportunities that I've got. And I'm so motivated to continue this worldwide march. Global domination. I mean, I know it sounds incredibly arrogant, but that is the plan. And last week was massive for us. The numbers worldwide were huge. And we go with so much momentum into this fight, and then Conor and Katie, and then Chisora Parker. And, you know, sometimes you just have to wake up and you know, with gratitude. Everybody, you know, you as well. You, Andy, you know, we're really lucky to be here and to be part of this, you know. And, yeah, that's how I feel right now.
I'm blessed, and after the weekend I've had, mate, I'm very blessed. And if you're going to bring boxing to Vegas, Devin Haney against Jojo Diaz is a sick fight. Take out the lightweight division and sort of the winner faces, George Kambosos, whatever. Take all that out. Them two in the ring is just a really good fight. Great
fight. You know, you've got Devin Haney, who I think is probably one of the hottest young stars in the sport, against a 2-weight world champion looking to become a 3-weight world champion. You know, 50-50 fight, not too far out. I just feel that this is the fight where Devin Haney, and for a long time we were looking for fights. Now we've gone Jorge Linares, Jojo Diaz. It's the perfect run of fights for Devin Haney. These are the kind of fights that he can showcase himself to the world. And if he can go in and dominate Jojo Diaz, I believe he can stop him. And if he stops him, that's a major statement. And, you know, we know what we want. We wanted Teofimo Lopez, but now the focus turns to George Kambosos. And that's the fight that we'd love to make next. But it's all irrelevant, as we've seen last Saturday, if he doesn't get through this weekend.
Can we talk about Church, Devin's hype man? He is nuts, isn't he?
I think Church is brilliant. I mean, a lot of people will watch Church and say, he's annoying, he's aggravating. But he's actually, if you listen to the rhymes and the words, it's actually, he's very intelligent, very smart. And as Devin Haney said, you know, sometimes when you feel low and, you know, tired and this, Church comes in, he just changes the mood. I mean, I had him over there for 5 minutes. I was like walking on the ceiling. You know, and I think it's good for boxing. But also, don't just presume it's some nutter coming in who's just like, there's a method to the madness. He's getting into Jojo.
He's a proper wordsmith, isn't he? Yeah, he's not just shouting bollocks.
No, but also he's getting into the head of Jojo Diaz. You know, he's aggravating him. He's making him use emotions. He's making him ignore him. He's making him shout him. He's making him get frustrated on the inside. You know, there's a method. It's not just some guy walking around shouting stuff. And, you know, I quite like him in the office, to be honest with you.
When everyone's feeling down, just keep team morale. Because of, I say from the outside, but I imagine you would have felt it as well, because of last week's events in New York, has that just sort of ramped this fight week up times 10, basically?
Yeah, I mean, last week, as I said, was massive. You know, the numbers were huge everywhere. This week, again, same kind of thing. I mean, look, you've got Gervonta Davis fighting Sunday. No one's even talking about that fight. And look, he's a star. But this is the fight everyone's on. This is the fight everyone's interested in because of the narrative of the lightweight division. You know, you got one guy has one belt, another guy has all the belts in George Kambosos. This is massive, this fight. And you know, it'd be watched by people all over the world on DAZN, and particularly the US audience, which is growing all the time on the platform, and was, again, last week, another landmark moment for the platform with a Fight of the Year contender.
It's just nice to feel like we're in a situation where whatever happens on Saturday, we will get an undisputed fight next year.
Might.
Quickly, it will. They're both talking as if, and I know we've heard a lot of talk before, but they're both talking as if whoever wins is going to fight George Kambosos, and he'd be game for it as well. So it's like,
I hope so, and that's what should happen. Lou DiBella's got to want that, Georgia's got to want that, Peter Khan's got to want that. All the people involved have got to want it, but Devin will Devin will do it in Vegas, Devin will do it in Sydney, Devin will do it on the Gold Coast. It doesn't matter where. But give these guys the opportunity to make the biggest fight in the division, make as much money as possible. And Devin will travel to do it, right? So there's no excuses. And George has already shown, you ain't got to question George Kambosos' nuts, have you? I mean, they're like melons, right? This kid, what he did last weekend, I mean, I don't represent him, but what a fan I am of him. And his dad, I love his dad. They're great people. And listen, Australia's a massive part of our business in 2022. So I'd love to do a fight there anyway. But what a guy, what a performance. And listen, nothing matters if Devin doesn't get through Jojo Diaz, but let's just get through Saturday and hopefully we can all get our heads together and make sense of this situation and get it made.
Just quickly, while we're on the subject of Kambosos and Lopez, Lopez Snr, kind of a lot of things to unpick. I just want your thoughts on the corner. So after the first round, he's gone back and it's kind of like mixed signals. It's like, knock him out. Take your time, go for him. As if it was kind of done with emotion. Just your sort of take on seeing them quotes from the corner.
They're incredibly emotional, aren't they? I mean, look, no one knows Teofimo better than Teofimo Sr., I would imagine. I think there's always a lot of criticism. If he goes out there and ices George Kambosos in the first round or the second round, everyone turns around and says, wow, these guys, and unfortunately you're under the spotlight in that kind of situation. And I think that sometimes emotion can be very detrimental to the development of a fighter. You have to see things from another side. You have to see things from outside of the bubble sometimes when you're developing a fighter. And clearly, the instructions, I haven't watched it back in that respect, but from what everyone's saying, weren't clear or weren't right. But it's worked for him in the past, hasn't it? The guy's gone out and beat Lomachenko and knocked out Commey, and everything's been plain sailing. You get beat and you start stripping things back, saying, yeah, that weren't right. So it's hard to say. But look, I like Teofimo Lopez. I think he's a great kid. I think his dad is a bit on the crazy side, but also he's got a good heart. I was disappointed with his comments. He messaged me. And I was
going to say, was that a kick in the bollocks when that fight was so up in the air, and there was a thing with Triller giving 8 dates and 8 venues, and then you put it on and then he comes out and says, blames you for a defeat when you're sort of so outside compared to what goes on in the ring?
That didn't bother me. What bothered me was him messaging me saying, I can't believe you did that to us. And I'm like, we treated them with nothing but respect. When they were in a shitty situation, we picked up the baton and we moved quickly. We gave them a great platform. We gave them a great fight night. We, as always, deal with complete honesty and transparency. We delivered everything we promised and more. And we had a great relationship with them. And I have to give them respect because they were an incredible part of the promotion. And they did a great job. So to get blamed for him losing on points, just speak to anyone who watched the fight. I mean, if you do a poll about who won the fight, how many people think Teofimo won the fight? 2%, 5%? I mean, it was close, but just lick your wounds and say, look, the better man won on the night. We've got to come back stronger. We've got to realise what went wrong. We've got to improve. And, you see people booing when you don't give another fighter credit. So, but also it's your son. So you're going to act irrationally because there's a huge amount of emotion involved. And I don't hold it against them, But as I said, we did everything that we could to give them a great experience. And up until the fight, they couldn't have thanked us enough. They said it was the best experience they've had. But when emotion gets involved, and I don't hold it against anyone, and it's just another day in the office.
Well, George Kambosos did win, and like we said, whoever wins on Saturday, we want to see that fight. When you deal with George Kambosos, are you sure you know who his sole promoter is when you try and make this undisputed fight?
You're trying to cause trouble. Look, I know Lou DiBella just texted me actually. I know Lou DiBella is his promoter, and as Lou pointed out to me on Sunday morning, you know, if we approach George Kambosos, he will sue us. I said, I've got no interest in it. I know who to deal with, and it's Lou. And I said to Lou, congratulations, mate, you have swum the channel. You know, you made your money on Saturday, you're going to make a fortune in the next fight, and that's who we'll be doing a deal with. And Lou knows the game. You know, he'll be looking for opportunities for George Kambosos. I love George Kambosos. I love his dad. Peter Khan's a great guy. I like Lou DeBella. He drives me crazy sometimes, but he's got a good heart as well. And we'll see what happens. But, you know, when I said I believe about his promoter, I said sole promoter, I believe. I didn't know if Peter Khan had a piece of the promoter or whatever the situation was. But happy to deal with Lou DeBella, and he's got nothing to worry about as well.
Another man that you, I'll say annoyed, but I feel like I use that word a bit too much. We'll just talk about John Fury. He's going to bury you, Ed.
Apparently so. Yeah, I mean...
It won't be in the States, I'll say that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I have no problem with John Fury, and I couldn't have given Tyson Fury more props after his last win. But it's like, you know, for years and years, those guys have just sort of slagged me off. And all I said was I thought that the press conference was distasteful. So, unfortunately, you guys ask me 100 questions a day. So I'm not going to say everything that everybody always likes. But it is what it is. They obviously don't like me. You know, I think they're doing a great job in the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury and others, respect for him. John Fury, I don't know, never met. Said he's going to bury me. Hopefully not. You know, you can't keep everybody happy.
In terms of Tyson and Dillian, is there any update for us?
You know, waiting on the arbitration for the WBC still, and hopefully that will be concluded soon, and we can get this fight ordered. You know, I think the main point of that arbitration is to make sure that the ruling is fair, and obviously that includes a split as well. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
In terms of Joshua, obviously he'd done that interview with Coogan in Dubai. Kind of a lot of mixed signals, as if he was saying he wants to jump back in with Usyk, but if the step aside money's there, then that's a possibility. Anything you can clear up or conversations you've had with Josh?
I think again, when you ask questions like Coogan does, it's kind of like a case of if the strategy and the package was right, would you step aside? And he said, look, you know, it's a business, etc., etc. But the focus is on Alexander Usyk, and until something's presented to us to present to AJ and 258 as being something that could make sense, I don't want to present that to Anthony Joshua, because he's probably going to tear my head off, because all he wants to do is fight Alexander Usyk. But, you know, if it leads to an undisputed fight against the winner of that fight, or, you know, he's got a new trainer, there's all kinds of things to consider. But I can't tell you like we're out there looking for a step aside or hoping that comes in. But if something that made sense for the career of Anthony Joshua allowed me to present that to him, then I would present that to him. But at the moment, the focus is just on Alexander Usyk, and we have a contract to rematch him, and all AJ wants to do is try and become a three-time world champion.
And just finally, how weird was it to see Amir Khan and Kell-Brook go head-to-head? All the talk, all the years, just finally seeing them together and their name on a poster was so weird.
It was like something back in time, wasn't it? You know, and listen, we seem to make all these fights, and all people talk about is me. I'm happy for them. Like, I'm not hating on the fight. I saw Kell's dad, you know. I'm not hating on the fight. It's not.
It's clear you're interested in taking the fight for the right offer. Yeah.
Listen, Kell-Brook's dad came down to meet me at the DAZN Open launch to tell me the offer they'd had from Sky. Would I match it? Absolutely not, was the answer. I pulled out of that fight with Kell's lawyer, and I was trying to make the Conor Benn fight. There's nothing wrong with Kell-Brook against Amir Khan. It's just not what it once was, and it doesn't do the numbers that they think it does.
Do you think the push looked forced at all? Because I see some people say that online.
Nah, look, all I'll say is they don't hate each other anymore. They hated each other once. They really did. Trust me. They despised each other.
They both backed each other to beat Terence Crawford, or they said they wanted them to.
But now they're just older guys who... There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. And look, people will tune in. I'll probably have a watch, you know. And I'm glad that... Listen, everything... I don't have a bad relationship with Kell-Brook, and he's going to make good money to finish his career. And I'm pleased for that, because... You know, he's had injuries, he's had ups and downs, he's had problems, but he's going to end his career, and this is a tough sport, and he deserves everything, and I'm happy for him. So, you know, it's again, it's like, you know, all these questions about me. Just get on with your fight. Let me do my thing.
Ed, that's all. Thank you very much for having me this week in Vegas, and the week will roll on.
Thank you. And just want to say one thing. I want to say rest in peace to the family, to Ava Whyte from Liverpool, and our thoughts with the family. This is a 12-year-old girl who got stabbed to death in Liverpool by, I believe, a 14 and 13-year-old boy. My daughter is 12. When I read things like that, it puts the absolute fear of Christ up me. We have to try and do something about people carrying knives and weapons, right? Young people have got to understand it's not cool, it's not tough, it's not, trendy. It's what cowards do, right? And this young girl has lost her life. People have got to stop carrying weapons. Find something, drop your weapons and focus on your heart, your soul, and find something and have a passion for something. We've got to give young kids more opportunities to take them away from this kind of life. But we can't, this is glamorized in some communities and some worlds. This is the lowest of the low, and anyone with a weapon needs to go to prison immediately. This is something that needs to be enforced by the government. So, just something I want to say, just in case any of the younger generation are watching this, please don't carry weapons. Do you know what I mean? Just focus on sport, focus on business, focus on your family. It's only going to end one way. It's going to ruin your life, and it's going to ruin someone else's life. So, just wanted to say that.